Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're here at Clash Endurance Miami. One of the most decorated triathletes in history joins us. 2012, she won Ironman 70.3 World Championship. Oh, and then follow that up by winning the Ironman World Championship. Leanda Cave joins us. Leanda, how the heck you doing?
I'm great. I'm still keeping really fit, so that's always good.
You really are. I'm sitting there going, okay, you're racing.
Yeah, I'm not racing here, but I'm going to be racing. Yes.
You are, because you have 4 world titles at this point?
Yes, that's right. And I thought wouldn't it be nice just to shoot for one more?
So
Probably
which
the
one?
Hardest.
Really, which one are you going for?
Well, I really want to shoot for the Ultraman world title. So that's a little much longer than anything I've ever done. That's going to be a new challenge.
A new challenge. It'll be a crazy challenge. And for people who don't know, the Ultraman starts with a 10K swim, followed by a 90-mile bike day 1,
Yep.
then a 171-mile bike ride day 2, and then, a double marathon.
Yeah, nice 52 miles to finish
On day
with.
3. Yeah,
if I'm not dead
that's
after
great.
that, then there's definitely something wrong.
So as somebody who works and trains other people, obviously the training helps you as well, but how do you get ready for something because you have to qualify for the World Championships. You got to go to Canada and go race Ultraman there.
Yeah, there's no free ride. I have to, pay my dues and qualify, and so that's going to be the first challenge, which is just to get through the qualifier race and then back it up with a second one in Kona, which would be the World Championship itself. To prepare, I think just the amount of miles I have to do would say it all. I just have to do a ton of training.
Yeah.
And juggle my professional life in between.
So when you go from doing Ironman distance and you start trying to figure out how do I build up to something like an Ultraman, what are you adding? What are you just doing some 5, 6, 7 hour bike rides or?
I want to say yes, there's going to be a lot of volume, but I think the difference will be I will be spending more time in the gym.
Yeah, strength.
With strength, because the muscles break down and then they're useless. So if they're not strong enough, which I need to do strength work to make them strong and also to prevent injury, right? Then I won't make it through. So the goal is to have a good balance, not go to the extreme of just focusing on miles, but really just concentrating on becoming overall having a holistic approach and being strong overall.
So when you've been a coach for a number of years, what have you learned from coaching that might have helped Leanda Cave, the athlete?
The athlete back then or the one now?
The athlete back then.
I think strength was a huge component that was probably a little overlooked in a lot of my training.
Yes. And it really wasn't that much for a lot of people.
Yeah, I did it. It wasn't something I really focused enough on. And I feel like that's definitely, we get so wound up in I have to do this many hours of training and so forth. And I think the strength component is the one thing that you drop quite easily if you don't have time or you're too tired or, it's just, you don't think you necessarily need it. So I feel like that was the one thing. I always maintained enough, but and I wouldn't have had the results if I didn't do it at all. But I think I could have definitely done more, and it probably would have helped prevent a lot of the injury, which I did have a really bad few injuries through my career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I look back at 2012, and obviously when you have a season like that where you win 70.3 Worlds and back it up by winning Ironman World Championship, that's a dream season. What led into that? Did you have a feeling going into the season that I'm as fit as I've ever been, and there's no reason that anything should stand in my way?
Yeah, I felt free and light. I was able to train where I wanted to train. I was training the hours I wanted to train, and I was training even though I had a coach. I was training alone, and that kind of gave me the flexibility to be where I wanted and when I wanted, and also do the workouts when they suited me, as opposed to having to back up after a 5:30 a.m. swim with a 7 a.m. bike ride or things like that. I just enabled myself and my body to get the recovery it needed, and I think that helped a lot, having recovery.
So when you're part of a team or a group, that way you can sort of pick and choose when you want to train with a group, when you want to train alone.
Yeah, actually, my coach at the time was not in. I was training in Boulder. And I wasn't in Boulder. It was
Oh, wait, was it Siri? Where was she?
In LA. At
Oh,
the
that's
time.
right. She
moved
was in
to-
LA.
Yeah. So even though I had all the workouts, I just structured them in the way that fitted my me personally. As in, like, wouldn't get up super early. I would allow myself to sleep in, which gave my body the rest it needed. Train and then have rest. Train and then have rest. And I think that's kind of like a very good recipe if you have the time for success, because you enable your body to get that recovery.
Absolutely. So I was obviously there for the Kona race. And there was a point in that race where everybody thought Miranda Carfrae is running through the field. And was Siri out there giving you splits and getting it? Because there was Caroline Steffen, there was yourself, there was Rinny. Take me through that.
Yeah, I think Siri was everywhere and anywhere that she could be, right? I mean, I had everybody, when you're in the lead, everybody wants to give you splits. So
Right.
I wasn't short of information. I managed just to also see on the signs that there's on the bike, there's the motorbikes,
Right.
they give you splits. And then on the run, when you come out the energy lab, they give you splits. So I had a good understanding of like where I was in the race compared to my competition. I just didn't know where my competition was in terms of catching me, or am I like getting time on them?
Right.
Because I don't know if you know this, but I've said it many times. I actually didn't know Miranda was that close to me in the run.
Really?
I didn't know she got within striking distance. So when I saw the leaderboard, actually I saw her on the turnaround in the energy lab. I thought she was actually gaining on me at that point. I didn't think she'd already gained, and now she was
going backwards a
So-
little bit, but you didn't know that.
No, which actually was probably a good thing, because
Yeah.
now I'm running scared, and I'm like, I have to had a fire in my belly just to keep pushing really hard, right? So it probably did me a good favor, because then, that enabled me to also catch Caroline,
Right.
which, ultimately gave me the title at the end of the day. So yeah. So in a good way, I think it was, when you're running scared, you kind of have, it's good and bad, but for me it worked really well.
Well,
that
and you
day.
also had the dynamics, and I don't know how much part of it, but Siri had been Rinny's coach.
Right.
When she won the thing a couple
Yeah.
times. And so now she's coaching you, and she sees you two go in an energy lab and doesn't really know who's going to be coming out ahead.
Right, yeah. And I don't even know what you get to see on TV, and I don't
Yeah.
think they had the tracker back then.
No.
So everyone's kind of like, in terms of like a spectator, a little bit blind. Like, they don't really know where
Exactly.
everyone is. So, yeah.
And when did you catch Caroline?
Oh, it must have been like 2 or 3 miles to go.
Yeah.
I think it was just up past the gas, like there's a
Yes.
gas station, like
Yeah.
not far past the energy lab. Around there I caught her, yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was-
at that point, because I'm sure at that point, Miranda is going backwards, and now you've got Caroline. Because that's a pretty major mind shift from, oh my God, Rinny's catching me at the turnaround in the energy lab, to now I'm winning.
Yeah, I mean, then the focus changes, right? Instead of like thinking that you're being chased, you're like, oh my gosh, now I just don't want to get caught. I just need to stay in the lead.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like now you're running not running so much scared about someone catching you, just like running scared because you don't want to lose the win.
You don't want to cramp. You don't want anything bad to happen.
Right, and
Yeah.
it does
It
sometimes.
always
so.
does. Coming across that finish line, what do you remember of that?
Oh, the energy. It was something that you can't really explain, but like this all this energy that's just about you.
Right.
All the drums and the screaming of the crowds, and like seeing that finish line, and then you just knowing that you're the first person to cross it. That's such a special feeling. So for me, it's just like, I still hear it and see it and feel it in my head, that energy that I had that day.
That was
as I-
pretty special.
Yeah, across the line.
The following year, did you have injuries the following year?
Yeah, that's when
That's when everything started,
yeah,
right?
everything started to spiral. Yeah.
Why do you think? Were you
You
trying
know,
to do too much too early?
Yeah, I would say actually, you know what, the when I won in Kona that year, Chrissy came up to me. She was there watching, Chrissy Wellington.
Yes.
And she's won it multiple times, and she had a lot of experience winning. And she said, Leanda, just take your time and don't say yes to everything. And what did I do? I said yes to everything. I said yes to going to, appearances for this race, appearances for that sponsor, travel. And then I had an injury, probably was a small one at the start, and I never took care of it.
Yeah.
And months went by before I went to see somebody, and at that point it was chronic. and everything just kept going south after that. So I want to say, like, sometimes take that advice from someone who's more experienced, and I should have, and that kind of bit me in the ass.
Well, but you know what? The reality is you feel like my sponsors have been here for me. Now they really, because I'm the world champion, I've just won 2 world titles in 1 year, they would like me to do this for them, and I want to be a good partner.
Yeah, you're absolutely
I get it.
right. Yeah, it's hard to, like, balance that sometimes. I mean, I was so supported by my sponsors, and I was so thankful to have them, and I definitely would never have won that race had I not had them. So you're 100% right. Like, giving back to the people who've been there for you along that journey is very important.
Well, I remember for Rinny, she said when she won in 2010, then she said, that after winning, she felt like I really owe it to my sponsors to do everything, and she felt that she wasn't quite ready for 2011 with Chrissy.
Right.
Because she felt a little undertrained because she had done so much other stuff, and she sort of regretted that because she didn't realize that Chrissy was going to retire after that year, and she wouldn't get another shot at her.
Yeah.
So, but that totally, and I get it. Your sponsors, nothing happens without them.
Yeah.
And when you're at the top, that's when they really benefit from your appearance.
Yeah, and then it's also when you benefit from them as well, because I have to say, like, the knock-on effect from winning, I actually gained more sponsors, right?
Right.
So I had that in the bag as well. So, it was a balancing act, and I think I probably fell off that edge at some point in that year.
And 2014, you still won. What'd you win? Ironman with Sweden?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I
You
spent
regrouped.
2013 injured, and I switched coaches. I needed a different approach.
Right.
And I did. I won Ironman Sweden to qualify for Kona.
Yep.
And, I don't think I had a great Kona that year, but Ironman Sweden was great. I think I went sub-9 in that race. So that was a good performance I had. And it was a good, like, okay, I'm back.
Exactly.
Yeah, not down and out and back.
When did you know it was time to hang it up? Because sometimes it's really difficult because the dollars are still there. Sponsors are, they believe, and but sometimes the fire goes out.
I think, like, I'd been racing for a long time, even when I won in Kona in 2012, and I could have said before that I could have.
Yeah, you could have retired right then.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you said, I have to do it for my sponsors. I also had this income coming in, and I also, when I won in Kona, I was like, I felt like I had more. I didn't feel like I was in the best shape of my life.
Right.
But I won. I was like, I can probably do this again
And do
because
better.
I know I can be in better shape. Didn't quite work out that way, but I would say in that 2014 to 15, I was ready, but I just wanted to finish on a good note. I wanted to go to Kona and, like, have another podium, have another like that
top
dream
5,
race,
top
right?
10, yeah.
And it didn't happen. In 2015, I want to say that was the year I was actually in the best shape of my life.
Really?
For Kona, yeah. And then I crashed, and that didn't work out. So, and then I was like, I kept going. I was like, okay, I know I can do this again. I know, I'm just chasing my tail a little bit. I just didn't get to the point where I was ever in that shape again, and I was ever able to deliver the race I wanted in Kona. And then, I guess, like you said, the fire went out. I was a competitor. I loved to race, and I loved to achieve good results, and I love being on the podium. And even though the training, I was just working as hard as I ever was, I just wasn't getting any faster at this point. It wasn't as effective, the training. I was, the age was kicking in, and all these young kids were coming through, and, like, what can you do? So sooner or later, I just had to face the reality. Is like, I always say there's, that with it being a professional athlete, you have a use-by date, and I felt mine was...
It was time.
Time, yeah.
So when you see what's happening now with the PTO and with Clash and with challenge races and Super League and couples events, there's a lot of fun stuff happening now.
Yeah, I mean, I love having a backseat to all this and watching it from the sidelines, and I love also, remotely being part of, like, the sport in a different capacity. And I think that's really, it gives me a lot of joy when I see athletes that I've either mentored or coached, or I give advice to, like, along the way, like, doing really well, or even, like, still meeting new athletes who are coming through the ranks and want to get to that point where I was one day. I love seeing that, and I've been in a lot of those places, and and I know where a lot of these athletes are, you know, depending on where they're performing. So I love being in this place right now.
You know what's fun sometimes when, and I remember Paula telling me this, is when you're coaching age group athletes, their passion for this, you know, because sometimes when you're a pro, you're dealing with politics, you're doing this and that, and yeah, you still love the sport, but seeing that raw love of the sport and passion for it, that has to be pretty cool for you when you see someone who you start working with when they don't know what they can be, but you see something in them and then they achieve it. That's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, I think for me, it's one of the best parts of coaching is just like helping those athletes achieve their goals and watching their journey along the way and those reaching those little milestones. I mean, the best part for me is when I get a text from an athlete, which I have frequently, when they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. Oh my gosh, I feel so strong. I'm running so well. I'm swimming so well. This is the fastest I've ever swum. Whatever. Like that always just brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
And so that's the rewarding side of coaching, I think, that I'm really getting to, be more appreciative of.
I love it. Well, we hopefully, after you go to Canada and hopefully qualify, we go to Kona every year for the Ultraman.
Yes.
We follow that around the island, and
All right,
then,
that's
gonna be fun.
3
That'll be
days
fun.
of fun of you following me.
Yes, we'll be following you, and we'll buy the first margarita when you're
All
done
right.
on Sunday,
I'll
no
need
matter
more
how
than
it
one.
goes.
Yeah, I hope you have them lined up there.
We'll have them lined up
5.
starting at about mile 40. Right, every 10 miles we'll have a margarita for
Right,
you.
yeah, I like that.
Love it.
Frozen on the rocks.
Love it. Leanda, thank you so much. Always such a pleasure
All
to
right.
catch up with you.
Cheers, thanks.
Leanda Cave has been our guest, everybody. That is wrap for day 2 here with Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Clash Endurance Miami. We'll catch you tomorrow. See ya.